That was WrestleMania, apparently. I have never felt quite the way I do right now coming out of a WrestleMania, and it's not in a good way. I'm going to tell you this, and I absolutely mean it from the bottom of my heart. This is the worst WrestleMania, top to bottom, I have ever seen. I don't want to hear a single person defending what just happened, because I'm going to get into some statistics that I have right here that, you know, some people are going to try to defend, but you know, there's really no getting around what I'm going to tell you later on in this, because what I found out is unacceptable. And you know, I kind of felt this way coming out of the show, because you know, I thought sometimes my feelings kind of don't match what actually happened. That does happen sometimes, but this from what I read, it's kind of verified, because what I felt during the show and coming out of the show, it's kind of, you know, it's a little scummy. And you're probably wondering what I'm talking about, and I'm gonna get to that later on in the video, because you know, there's no getting around it anymore, really. I'm gonna go through this entire card and rate each match out of 5 stars, and at the end I'm going to give my rating out of 5 stars for the entire show, top to bottom. And spoiler alert, you know, it's not gonna be the greatest. It's not going to be a banger, I'll say that. As you can tell if you have ever watched my channel before, I am not in the greatest of moods right now. My soul is, you know, it's kind of crushed. This video is, you know, it's more of a therapy session rather than a YouTube video at this point. I'm talking to something that can't respond to me. I might be at a point where there's no return. The first match on the card was, my goodness, I can't believe I'm saying this, Austin Theory, Logan Paul, and I Show Speed, my goodness, versus Jimmy Uso, Jay Uso, and LA Knight. Winner of this match was Jimmy J and LA Knight, because at the end I Show Speed did a face turn, and yeah, it's just, you know, it's a WrestleMania moment. I'm fine with that. You know, the match was whatever, I guess. I will say it was a very odd way to kick off the show. It wasn't, yeah, the match was so rushed and just, you know, it was whatever, man. But I do think it was a very odd way to kick the match off. It definitely started the show off with the odd feeling, and that odd feeling persisted throughout the entire show. I'm gonna quickly get through this match because I couldn't care less for this match. Out of 5 stars, I rate this match 1 star, because you know, this match wasn't good at all. There's nothing to take out of this match. Well, I'm like, yeah, man, the I Show Speed splash to Logan Paul was after the match, so I'm not gonna really count that into the match unless it's like really good or like really bad. That's when I'll count it into the match, but you know, that was kind of just whatever. So yeah, it's 1 star out of 5. Nothing really could save this one. Not a great way to kick off WrestleMania, don't you think? You think after that match we'd start to pick up gears a little bit, and we were heading into an unsanctioned match, so we thought we were going to get something crazy, something brutal. That brutal indeed, but not in the way you think. Brutal in terms of what the hell am I doing sitting here on a Saturday night watching this when I could be doing something, and I could be watching women's basketball. Yeah, I said it. We've come to this point. Women's basketball is better. That might be a stretch. I don't know, man. Oh yeah, I'm gonna mention this right now. The first match ran for 7 minutes and 5 seconds. I'm gonna be mentioning match times because there's a point I'm going to mention later in this video that, you know, it's kind of shocking once you hear the stat. So every match I'm gonna mention the match time for it. The next match was an unsanctioned match between Drew McIntyre and Jacob Fatu. That, again, just like the first match, I couldn't really care for. This match was just kind of thrown together for Drew McIntyre and Jacob Fatu to kind of do something at WrestleMania, since Drew lost the title. Not lost, got screwed out of the title. Let's be honest, Cody, there were clauses and the clauses got broken, but I'm not going to get into that. No one cares about that anymore. But yeah, this is just a match thrown together so both guys can get on the card at WrestleMania. The winner was Jacob Fatu. I thought, I was in the camp leaning into it that Drew McIntyre was actually gonna get the win here, but apparently not, because the company sees a lot in Jacob Fatu, and you know, I don't blame him. That guy is a monster. Drew McIntyre is a monster too, but you know, someone had to eat the pin, and it was Drew McIntyre. Again, there's not much to say for this match either. There were a couple spots where, you know, Jacob Fatu went through a table. I think Drew McIntyre went through a table as well. I'm not too sure. It's kind of sad that you have an unsanctioned match and you can't remember 3 things that happened. The match is unsanctioned, but this is the safest unsanctioned match I have ever seen in my entire life. A couple table spots, there was a toolbox, and you know, there was, I don't even know what else, maybe the announced table spot somewhere. This match went for 14 minutes and 6 seconds, and I don't remember much that happened throughout this match. I promise I'm not trying to be one of those people who hate on everything. As I say throughout my whole entire videos, I've said that exact thing, but right now with this product, it's, you know, it's, I can't just not, you know what I'm saying? Out of 5 stars, I'm going to rate this match 2.75 stars out of 5. It wasn't the worst thing in the world, but it also isn't something that, you know, you're gonna go back to watch ever again. It's just like a one and done watch type deal. Like, it's on the card, you saw it, it was just there, and that was it. And that's basically the definition of a 2.75. So nothing like too egregious, but like it's WrestleMania, so you know why this should have went so much harder than it did, especially since it's unsanctioned. But you know, we ball. I get, we're not balling, bro. What am I talking about? This is not ball. So the next match on our card is the WWE Women's Tag Team title match, and there's one thing in this match, not in the match, but there's one moment that happened that, my goodness, it got me pumped up, and this was the peak throughout the night for me. Actually, no, it wasn't the peak, but it was the first peak throughout the night. There were 2 peaks throughout this night for me. 2! Throughout a WrestleMania, I only had about 2.5 peaks. I'll say that, 2.5 peaks. We'll get to those later. The half peak I'll explain, but yeah. The peak throughout this match, and might be the best peak of the night for me, that's debatable, but the return of Paige, bro, when her music hit, my goodness, I let out a scream. I think my neighbors thought I was getting murdered, because the thought of another AJ Lee and Paige feud, oh my goodness, we're going back to 2014 with that one. I don't know if I trust this current product to execute on that feud, but you know, I'm here for it. I really want to see that feud again. I'm so glad she's back, bro. I know the company's in a rough position right now, but my God, seeing Paige in a WWE ring again, it is just, every time it's gonna pop me. I'm sorry, call me Mark, I don't care. And the winners of the match were Brie Bella and Paige. You know, Paige's return, she gets the title. It's kind of reminiscent of, you know, her debut match. She actually won the Divas Championship, so that's a nice little, that's a bit of good storytelling, I must say, right there. I saw a couple people complaining that the Lash Legend and Nia Jax's reign was you know, kind of cut short. I'm gonna be honest, I forget daily that these titles exist, so I don't think any reign here is being cut short. Rather, you know, someone else is getting the opportunity to hold a title that's forgetful, and hopefully, you know, hopefully Brie Bella and Paige can actually, you know, prop the titles up in a position where it actually matters, but I highly doubt that, because the booking of these belts and kind of the women division as a whole, the past year and a half to 2 years, it's just like a little bit, no, not even, it's just messy at this point. I don't know what we're doing here. But yeah, Lash Legend and Nia Jax did drop the titles to Brie Bella and Paige. It's kind of interesting what they're gonna do with these titles, because I'm kind of interesting in the booking decision here and what made them go along with it, because Nikki Bella was gonna compete, but she has an injury and she couldn't make it in time, so they got Paige on the phone and got her in Vegas. And now Brie Bella and Paige has the titles. That's a pretty weird combo, I must say. Very nostalgic combo. Usually the Bella twins are like, you know, they're only around for like the big pay-per-views and big build-ups, so I don't know, you know, how often these things are going to be defended, I'll say that. But yeah, this match went on for 8 minutes and 32 seconds. You know, that match length I can understand. You know, it's a women's tag team title match. We're not going to squeeze 15 minutes out of this thing. Out of 5 stars, I gave this match a 2.5 stars out of 5 stars. The only thing that is carrying this match was the Paige return and the result of the match. Otherwise, this would have gotten ranked like 1.5 5 maybe. Sometimes I think to myself, like, am I sounding too harsh? But then I remember like the product 2 years ago, and I remember, yeah, no, they're not giving us the best quality that they could possibly give us. So no, I'm not being too harsh. I'm, you know, sometimes I think I'm being lenient here, and yeah, I could give each of these matches 0 stars, but I'm not going to do that because I have a loving soul. That's what the people say about me. I don't know what people, but there's people out there that will say that about me. I'm kind of losing my mind. I don't know what I'm saying anymore, man. But yeah, 2.5 stars out of 5. Let's move on to the next match. The next match on our card is the WWE Women's Intercontinental Championship match. The champ AJ Lee is facing Becky Lynch, and to be honest, I couldn't care less about this build, and that's kind of the theme throughout the entire thing. I don't think is there one thing on this card I actually enjoyed the feud for. No, there's not one feud I actually genuinely enjoyed, I think. But yeah, this feud I couldn't care less for, and that's a shame because these are two goats of women wrestling. Not even women's wrestling, these are two goats of wrestling, and you're putting together a match between AJ Lee and Becky Lynch. People should be excited for something like that. And you know, Becky Lynch and AJ Lee, if they're standing across the ring from each other, you think you get like a holy crap chant throughout the entire arena. Nobody cares. This is a literal dream match, bro. Like, how do you mess something like this up? Like, the build just wasn't, it's such a lifeless build, and you know, it's just nobody really cares for it, and that's kind of shocking because again, these are two legends of the business. How do you do something so just lifeless that nobody even cares about the match? You tell someone 2 years ago that Becky Lynch and AJ Lee were eventually going to face off, your mind would be blown. But then 2 years later, you get to this moment and felt betrayed because the thing they forgot to tell you was the build would be terrible. This match went on for 8 minutes and 15 seconds. Yes, a women's title match went on for only 8 minutes. They didn't even get 10 minutes to do stuff. The winner was Becky Lynch. She took the title off AJ Lee. There were a couple spots in this match that were, you know, they were cool. They definitely got some of their moves in, but you know, it didn't hit that peak to where it was like, okay, who's gonna win this thing? It was just like, okay, when is this gonna, you know, yeah, I'm just watching a match here. There's no feeling throughout this match that I got. I was just watching the match, just chilling. There was nothing egregiously bad about this match, but nothing that was like, there was a point throughout this match where the cameraman slipped. It was either this match or the Liv match where that happened, but somewhere throughout the match, the cameraman just slipped and you just saw the camera just drop. Everyone in the arena they couldn't believe their eyes. You know what? No, that right there is the peak of the night. That was hilarious. But yeah, out of 5 stars for the Women's Intercontinental Championship match, I'm going to give this match a 2.5 stars out of 5 stars. Again, nothing really terrible, but nothing noteworthy at all. Kind of just really bland and a lifeless match. So yeah, nothing to say again throughout this match. Nothing to comment on, and that's kind of the whole pattern of this WrestleMania card. And now we move on to the next match because I actually have something to get excited for. This match was a freaking banger, bro. We have Gunther versus Seth Rollins. No title on the line, no nothing, and in a couple weeks, they actually had a pretty decent build. Some heated moments throughout the entire thing. Gunther versus Seth Rollins, two people who are known for having really good in-ring skills, and they kind of showed that throughout this match. This match went on for 15 minutes and 48 seconds. That is some quality time there to give two performers, and I think they used that time very wisely. This was this might be the biggest peak for me throughout the entire show, was this match right here, because this is a match on the card I heavily got invested into down the stretch, and I was just, you know, I was actually kind of invested and zoomed in on my screen and just wondering what was going to be the final blow and when this match was going to end, and I was really invested in this match. The eventual winner of the match was Gunther, though. Really good match. match, I must say. These two guys could wrestle a mop on WrestleMania, and it'll freaking be a classic, man. Gunther freaking powerbombed Seth Rollins at the edge of the apron, and Seth Rollins had a pedigree on the announce table. Like, my goodness, these two guys were just trying to, they were trying to take each other out during this match, just trying to get the final blow, and the eventual final blow was Gunther locking in Seth Rollins into a sleeper hold, and Seth Rollins passing out. I must say, Seth Rollins' entrance, he came out and he looked absolutely possessed. He just turned around and then came back, and like his eyes were normal again. I don't know how he did that so quick, I must say. That was impressive. That was one of the most impressive things throughout the night, which is very sad. But yeah, the winner of this match is Gunther, and out of 5 stars, I gave this match 4 out of 5 stars. See, I am not a hater of everything. Don't you dare say that to me. I thought after this match, I was riding a high after this match, and I thought, okay, we're kicking it into next gear now. From here on out, we're entering another gear. And then, next match was Liv Morgan versus Stephanie Vaquer, and that quickly proved me wrong. So yeah, heading into next match is WWE Women's World Heavyweight Championship title match, Liv Morgan versus Stephanie Vaquer, the champion. This match went on for 6 minutes and 50 seconds. The World Heavyweight Championship match for the women went 6 minutes and 50 seconds. Whose idea was it to be like, yeah, let's have the World Heavyweight Championship match be a little bit over 5 minutes long? That's going to be we're geniuses in this booking room. It's just so weird, man. Throughout this entire show, the vibe of this entire show just didn't feel like WrestleMania, bro. Like, I don't understand what we're doing anymore, what track we're on, man. But yeah, Liv Morgan versus Stephanie Vaquer for the World Heavyweight Championship. Liv Morgan takes the title off Stephanie Vaquer, and I couldn't give a hoot, brother. I don't care. But out of 5 stars, I gave this match a 1.5 stars out of 5. This was really disappointing. I know these two women can wrestle their tails off, but either they weren't given enough time or just something happened. I have no clue. But this match absolutely sucked, bro. Nobody cared for this match. It was just, no one cared. I literally have nothing else to say about this match. I'm getting really angry right now because people pay their hard-earned money to either attend these events or get something like ESPN, which I've heard a lot of complaints about their streaming service having a lot of problems. People pay a lot of money to either go to these shows or watch the show, and this is the product you are giving out to the people that spend their hard-earned money investing in your product, and you give a product out like this. That tells us that you couldn't care less about us and that we're investing our time and money into your product. You don't care at all, and that makes me so mad, because someone who is investing in your product and wasting my time, people are wasting their time watching your product, and no matter how bad it's going to get, and no matter how bad it's actually getting, people are going to still tune in to the show because they love professional wrestling. And these people have caught up to that fact, and they don't care how bad the product's gonna get. They're going to put in the bare minimum while receiving the maximum amount of money they possibly can, because they do not care about us. It's just so frustrating, man, because I keep mentioning WrestleMania 40 because that is the current day standard of what a WrestleMania can be like, and yet right now, that was 2 years ago, but right now you're acting like you can't even, reach those heights anymore for some odd reason. Either lack of care anymore, or you just found out you can get away with the bare minimum. I have no clue. I just don't care at this point. But the thing that makes me so angry right now is just people are defending this. They're like, oh, well, you You people complain about everything. Why don't you just accept what the card is and just have a good time watching it? Why are you even watching the show if you don't even like the product right now? It's because people actually enjoy the genre as a whole of wrestling. It's like telling a football fan, don't watch football if you're not enjoying the game. Are you kidding me right now? That makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. If you are truly in love with the game, bro, you are going to watch no matter what. So that is an idiotic statement right there, and there's still just people out there defending what we have here. Even though we know what this company is capable of, we're still just getting the bare minimum, and there are still people out here defending the bare minimum for whatever reason. I couldn't tell you. Either they're in the tribalistic mind and they think, okay, I'm gonna die on this hill, or they genuinely think it's a good product. I don't know. If you think it's a good product, you know what, that's your opinion. I'm not gonna try to change it, whatever. You're probably 8 years old. But what we're getting right now, it's just like how I don't know how you defend it, because I constantly see people, saying, you know what, I didn't enjoy this match. I thought this match could have been better. This match was absolute dog crap. And then there's a reply under it that I see that's, well, why are you watching then? Well, go watch something else then. Okay, stop watching. Nobody cares if you're watching. Nobody cares about your opinion. You're defending the product that throughout WrestleMania, they can't even give us decent amounts of wrestling throughout the product, and that is the point I'm going to get to later, is the amount of actual wrestling throughout this match, throughout the card, was just, you got ripped off. Like, I'm just saying that right now. I'm gonna get to this once I went through the whole card. You are getting ripped off. I'm gonna get to the main event, then I'm gonna get on my rant again, but my rant came out of nowhere, by the way. I might actually need a therapist after this video. Like, I'm sweating, and I'm getting lightheaded, and my heart's beating a little too fast. I might pass out. The main event, and my goodness, this is, once I'm done talking about this, I have so much to say, man, because holy crap. The main event is the WWE Championship match. Cody Rhodes as the champ versus Randy Orton with Pat McAfee by his side, and Cody Rhodes by Jelly Roll by Cody Rhodes' side. So there's all that. At the start of this match, we had Pat McAfee taking the microphone, and you could just hear an audible groan throughout the entire building. Pat McAfee doesn't have go away heat. He has, like, it's not even go away heat. It's like F off my product heat. That's what this is. I don't think it's like Pat McAfee the person. It's just Pat McAfee, the idea of getting in this storyline. It could be Pat McAfee the person. I don't know. That depends if you're into politics. I don't care. But Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton. This match went on for 22 minutes and 40 seconds. That is some quality time, but most of this time was, this match was so slow, bro. My god. The ending of the match was, I'm gonna get into the ending of my goodness, the ending. I'm gonna get into the ending of the match. You better know that. Throughout most of this match, though, it was kind of just a slugfest. Randy Orton was selling an injury throughout most of this match, and they were just kind of flopping around, slowly getting up and throwing punches. It was just very weird timing throughout the entire match. But yeah, Pat McAfee stole the mic from the announcer and introduced Randy Orton. Then Jelly Roll came out, and Jelly Roll and Pat McAfee, before the bell rang, had a brawl, and Jelly hit an elbow through the table on Pat McAfee, through the announce table. I can't believe I'm saying those sentences. I really can't comprehend what I'm saying. I'm gonna have a stroke. So Jelly Roll takes out Pat McAfee. We're getting that segment, that sequence over with. We thought it was over with until, we're gonna get to the ending, I already said. So the Jelly Roll and Pat McAfee thing happened, and it's, that ends, and then the match starts, and I literally I have a bad memory, but I think even a normal person can be like, yeah, I don't remember anything from the first 15 minutes of this match. I will say this, it was just kind of a slugfest throughout the entire thing, but the couple of minutes, the couple of last minutes actually did hook me in, and they were, I'm not gonna lie, they were cooking in the last couple of minutes before something happened. They were absolutely cooking throughout the last like 5-6 minutes of the match. They were hitting crazy moves, crazy RKOs. There was one point in the match where Cody Rhodes was going to set Randy Orton up for the crossroads, and you know how Cody Rhodes kind of leans in to grab his opponent so he can, you know, flip him over and stuff. He leaned in and Cody Rhodes just looked up and just gave him the RKO. Bro, that was insane. Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton were hitting each other's finishers. That's always gonna pop me. Call me a mark for that, but that always pops me. There was just crazy things happening in the last few minutes of the match. There was one moment throughout the match that I thought, you know, was kind of leading up to something. Cody Rhodes poked Randy Orton in the eye. You know, Cody Rhodes is a face, so, you know, and we all know in wrestling terms, you know, you're not supposed to do something like that when you're a face. Cody Rhodes poked Randy Orton in the eye, so I thought that was leading up to, you know, an eventual moment in the match that I thought was going to happen, and it kind of did, but it kind of, I'm going to talk about it, I swear. Cody Rhodes pokes Randy Orton in the eyes. The fans were booing Cody Rhodes throughout the entire match, cheering Randy Orton. So the whole narrative that, Pat is here to Pat is here to make Cody Rhodes cheered, you know, that was thrown out the window throughout this match, because as soon as Pat McAfee left the vicinity, you know, people were cheering Randy Orton and booing Cody Rhodes. So that whole dynamic, it doesn't even work at this point. It doesn't matter. So yeah, Cody Rhodes pokes Randy Orton in the eyes. Another moment throughout this match is the ref gets knocked out, and Randy Orton was going to go for a low blow with his leg, and then Cody blocked the low blow and then gave Randy a low blow, and people went absolutely insane. They were like, oh my good, including myself, we were like, oh my goodness, they're going to do a double turn at WrestleMania. Cody Rhodes is going to go heel. They're finally pulling the trigger. Cody Rhodes is going to be heel. They're going to turn Randy Orton face. They're going to absolutely cook here. This is the moment I was invested when Cody Rhodes gave Randy Orton the low blow, because obviously something like that in wrestling, that's obviously a signal of, okay, you know, this guy is mentioning his morals. He's giving him the low blow now when the ref is not looking. Okay, well, the morals are a little shaky now, don't you think? Now that the face gave him the low blow, faces aren't supposed to do that. We all know that in wrestling terms. The face doesn't do that, but Cody Rhodes gave Randy Orton the low blow. So everybody throughout the building, including me and people watching at home, were like, they're gonna do the double turn. Night one of WrestleMania might actually cook, bro. And then they were fighting a little more, and then Randy Orton got the upper hand, hit an RKO, and then Pat McAfee came out with a neck brace, bro. My goodness, what am I doing? And then he slid in the ring. He counted 1, 2, Cody kicks out. So I genuinely thought when Pat McAfee was in the ring and counting for Randy Orton, he was going to stop it too, look at Randy Orton, and then give Randy Orton the low blow. And then it turns out Cody Rhodes and Pat McAfee were actually working together. I know Pat McAfee would still be involved, but it would still be, you know, I would have popped for that, I'm not going to lie. What I thought was going to happen was Pat McAfee stops it too, and then low blows Randy Orton, and then the Pat McAfee and Cody Rhodes were kind of in this together, and then someone like The Rock would come out or something. I know like people are kind of over with The Rock, but like if they did this and stuck with it, this could have been a really good swerve and a really good story, as like Cody being like the leader of like the TKO corporation or something, where he's all dressed up in a suit. He's an executive man now, like he only cares about the numbers going up and about the money coming in. He doesn't care about the quality of the product anymore. Are you kidding me? That would have been fire right there. Pat McAfee counts 1, 2, Cody kicks out, and then I was really intrigued at, okay, what are the dynamics here now, because they've kind of changed it. And then Randy Orton gets up and then RKO's Pat McAfee for whatever reason, because he's Randy Orton, I guess, because he didn't count to 3. He didn't do the job he was supposed to, I guess. So yeah, Randy Orton RKO's Pat McAfee. A new referee comes out. They fight a little bit longer. Cody Rhodes hits the crossroads. 1, 2, 3. Cody Rhodes wins the championship, or he retains the championship. And I am sitting there because I'm still intrigued, like, okay, okay, Cody Rhodes won the championship. Okay, what's going to happen after the match now? Because we know, after the match antics aren't, they're very familiar with WrestleMania and big moments. So I thought Cody Rhodes was going to do something to where either someone's coming out, the lights go out or something, or Cody Rhodes hits Randy Orton and starts beating him up, and that's Cody Rhodes' heel turn to go off the air. I thought something like that was going to happen, but then Randy Orton gets up as Cody is celebrating, takes the title from Cody Rhodes, and hits Cody Rhodes in the head with the title, and then we go off air. Like, what in the actual heck just happened? What dynamics or we're like mixing 4 different dynamics here, because Cody Rhodes low blowed Randy Orton. Pat McAfee came back out, counted to 2.5. Randy Orton then RKO's Pat McAfee, who is supposed to be, his guy, and then Randy Orton takes the title and hits Cody Rhodes with it. It's like, what are we doing here? It's like face and heel just aren't a thing throughout this match anymore. Like, what are we doing? I thought we were gonna get the double turn and like we're gonna go off the air shocked, and that would have actually gave life to a WrestleMania card that wasn't much of anything. This is the most confused I have ever been heading out of any pay-per-view, because I don't understand what the dynamics were supposed to be during these moments, or what the creative team thought was like. What's the booking decision here? Like, usually the main event of WrestleMania is to cap off an entire feud, not do something that's supposed to like sometimes, like a lot of the times when you're leaving WrestleMania having more questions than answers, you're wondering why someone either turned heel or turned face, or why they joined this group or that group. But you're coming out of this WrestleMania wondering, why did even any of this happen? That's the question everyone is asking. Like, why did any of this even happen? There was no reason for any of this to happen if Randy Orton was just going to still be the heel in the end of it, hitting Cody Rhodes with the title. None of that other stuff really even matters, or it's just odd. It's just weird. But yeah, Cody Rhodes retains the title, and out of 5 stars, I gave this match a 2.5 stars out of 5 stars. This would have been a 3 or even 3.25 stars if that weird ending didn't happen. Yes, guys, weird endings can actually bump down matches. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but that's actually a thing. So for those wondering, they had a pretty decent match. Okay, well, if I'm left leaving more confused than I was entering, that they didn't do their job, and that can actually, bump down the rating of the overall match. So yeah, there you go. That's why some people don't really enjoy the way this match ended. But yeah, 2.5 stars out of 5 stars for this match. Now, the overall rating for the actual show out of 5 stars, I gave this show a 0.25 out of 5 stars. And you might be wondering, why in the heck is that rating so low? There wasn't any match on this card that was like really bad or anything. Well, that could be debated, but like most of the stuff on this match was meh, and that is the entire problem that I'm having. I gave this show a 0.25 out of 5 stars is because the product they gave for a WrestleMania is absolutely unacceptable. They gave a product the bare minimum, like the bare minimum. This is not a WrestleMania worthy card. This is barely a Backlash worthy card right here. The wrestling wasn't anything special besides Gunther and Seth Rollins. There was nothing throughout the show where I'm coming out of this show where I'm gonna go to bed thinking about these moments, and I'm gonna be thinking about some moments, but not anything really in a positive light beside maybe Paige returning and Bianca Belair announcing that she's pregnant. Congrats to her, by the way. That's sick. But you're supposed to leave a WrestleMania in shock or in happiness or in sadness that your favorite wrestler might have come up short, and you're heavily invested in this, and you are leaving this WrestleMania feeling absolutely nothing, and you couldn't care less. That is why this show is a 0.25 stars out of 5 stars, and the main reason why this show is a 0.25 stars out of 5 stars is the next thing that I'm going to get into, and the whole reason I have a problem with the current day product and what they're doing, because it is very scummy of what they're doing, because this is no longer a wrestling issue. This is more of just you're getting scammed issue. The point I'm getting into right now is the whole show was 3 hours and 45 minutes long. Understand that. Remember that number. 3 hours and 45 minutes long is how long the show was. You had 7 matches on the card. This is not including the pre-show, by the way. Okay, so the whole show was 3 hours and 45 minutes. That's how long the entire span of the show was. Now, guess how much wrestling you got at WrestleMania. Guess how much wrestling was actually involved in WrestleMania. Guess. Go ahead, take a guess. The amount of wrestling you got out of a 3 hour and 45 minutes of WrestleMania was 1 hour, 23 minutes, and 16 seconds. 1 hour and 23 minutes of actual wrestling throughout the show, in a show that is called WrestleMania. It is the mania for wrestling, and the amount of wrestling you got isn't even close to half of the show. That is absurd. That is that is absolutely unacceptable. You're probably asking, you got 1 hour 23 minutes of wrestling, what was the rest of the show then? It was adverts. That's really all it was. It was adverts and just promotions and video packages nobody cares about. That was the rest of the product. That was the rest of WrestleMania. Most of it was just commercial breaks. How do you feel now paying money for watching this show and investing your time into a show that you knew going into probably wasn't going to be the best show, but you like wrestling anyway? You like wrestling so much that you're still going to watch the show and give it a shot. How do you feel that most of what you watched is ad breaks? How do you feel about that you paid your hard-earned money to sit through mostly ad breaks? You're paying for a service that, you know, a decade ago, 5 years ago, promised that, okay, you're paying for a service to where you're gonna watch us and you're not gonna have ads anymore. That's the whole reason people get rid of cable. And now you're paying for a streaming service and you're watching WrestleMania, bro. Why does WrestleMania have ad breaks in it? Please tell me that. Why do wrestling pay-per-views, something that you have to pay for, have ad breaks in them? Please, I would really love an explanation. I would love people to defend that one. Why in a 3 hour and 45 minute show is there 1 hour and 23 minutes of wrestling? Go on, please explain that to me. I really want to hear your excuse for this company right here for why we have such little wrestling and people are paying their hard-earned money for a product and they're not even getting the wrestling that says in the actual title WrestleMania. Half of the show isn't even wrestling. Go on, please explain that one to me. I want to hear that one. You can't come up with an explanation, because that is unacceptable. Not even half of the show was wrestling. Not even half of the show was something to invest your teeth into. Half of the show was just adverts being shoved in your face and Michael Cole presenting things with dude wipes, bro. I am so just angry because the people are just accepting that this is reality now. And you know what? I'm gonna defend the company anyway, even though they couldn't care less about me. I don't get it anymore, man. That's why I'm thankful something like AEW exists, where they actually put on pay-per-views worth watching, where guess what? Throughout the entire show, if it's a 4 or 5 hour show and people complain about AEW and the length of their shows, I kind of have that same complaint sometimes, because sometimes the shows can drag a bit. But guess how much wrestling you're going to get out of like a 4 hour and 20 minute show? You're probably going to get 4 hours and 10 minutes or 4 hours and 15 minutes of actual wrestling, disregarding the entrances and things like that. You know, you're going to get 95% of the show for a pay-per-view should be wrestling. When it is under 50%, I'm going to you are getting scammed out of your money. These people do not care about you whatsoever. I just keep saying the same thing over and over again because it's mind-boggling to me how people are just accepting this now. Like, yeah, man, yeah, the show wasn't that bad. More than half of it was commercial breaks, guys. Just let that go. show. You guys are hating too much. The IWC is nothing but negativity. Okay, cool. Explain why more than half of it was adverts. I want to hear that one. Please break down the negativity and why this is a positive thing. Go ahead, bro. I gotta just stop, bro. But yeah, that was WrestleMania. That was the 0.25 stars out of 5 stars. I'm never going to give this show anything higher. I really hope Night 2 proves me wrong and can actually deliver a show, and more than half of the show can be wrestling instead of commercial breaks. But yeah, thank you guys for watching this. I'm genuinely just, I don't know anymore, because I don't, you know, it's WrestleMania season and I'm sitting here, I'm angry, and I'm not angry because my favorite wrestler lost. I'm angry because the company I once loved is now, you know, their main product is not even wrestling anymore. So yeah, thank you guys for watching this video, and I hope some of you out there, even if you didn't enjoy the show, I hope you got to spend some time with family or friends or something and enjoy the time with that, maybe. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video. God bless, and I'm out.